Hello and welcome to another episode of The Profit Builder. I'm Vicki Suter, your host, and I'm super excited to have my guest Spencer Powell with Builder Funnel here with me today. Spencer and I know each other from a mastermind group that we're a member of, the Construction Consultants Mastermind Group, and he is a marketing genius for contractors. So first of all, Spencer, thank you so much for being here and being a guest on The Profit Builder.
Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, I'm excited to have a conversation today.
Yeah, me too. The whole, Spencer and I were talking last week, and I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself in just a second. But we were talking last week about marketing and how it's so funny that when contractors are super busy, they tend to go, I don't have time, like I'm just answering the phone, like I couldn't take on any more work. And so they do no marketing or very little marketing. And then things start to slow down, like we're starting to see. And then what happens is revenue starts to go down. And what ends up is it's like this roller coaster of revenue. And part of what we were talking about is how do you avoid doing that? But before we jump into my questions, would you just introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about you and your background and how'd you come to
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I'm Spencer Powell. I'm the CEO at Builder Funnel, and I really got into the marketing game about 13 years ago, working with my uncle's company, and we took their remodeling division from about 2 million to 10 million over about 4 years, and primarily when digital marketing for this industry was in the early innings. So Facebook business pages were new. There was no Instagram, no Houzz, definitely no TikTok. Um, and it was like early days of blogging and SEO and trying to get found online for people searching for kitchen remodels or that sort of thing. And so today we're solely focused on construction space, generally design, build, remodeling, interior remodeling, custom home builders, and yeah, we're a team of about 22 spread all over, mostly full-time remote at this point. And yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Thanks. One of the things I really appreciate about you is that you've been in the industry, you've worked in the industry, you were part of the, hey, we did this and it made revenue go from, what did you say, 2 to 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So like you got boots on the ground of experience and having done this, not to mention a long track record, I know, of having created amazing success with clients. So yeah, I just appreciate that you understand your customer really well
Thank
from the
you.
inside out, right? Yeah. So here's my first question. Why is marketing strategy important?
I love this question because, and I've really been digging into it actually a lot lately. And we help our clients on the marketing side, and so we build marketing strategy plans, and then we also will help with the execution of the tactics once we get to that point if they want our help. And we've been doing this for a while, and the more I dig into that part of it, the more I realize that I think where we're headed is actually just helping people figure out a lot of other pieces too. And one of those being company strategy, because if you think about marketing strategy, you're going, okay, well, what do we want? Like, who are our best clients? Like, who do we want to attract? And then you're like, well, okay, this is the type of client. They make this much. They live in these certain neighborhoods, whatever, we can drill into that for forever. But then you go, okay, well, and then what are the types of projects that we want to take on? And that's part of it too. So, okay, we do kitchens and baths and whole home, or we do, outdoor living, or, whatever it is. And I talk to so many companies, and you can go to their websites, and it's like, we do kitchens, we do baths, we do basements, we do whole home, we do decks, we do, outdoor living space. And you're going, well, gosh, that's going to be tough to market. And not only just because there's tons of different things that you do, so you got to be able to market and position all those. But then when you actually think about being unique and different, and that's something that as marketers is really important, because it's like, what are we actually positioning against here in the marketplace? Now you kind of look like everyone else, or you look like a generalist. So if you take that person that does 6 different things, and then you go to the kitchen only company, if somebody's looking for a kitchen and they're comparing 3 different companies, the one that stands out is the one that only does kitchens. And you know what? They're saying no to everybody else. So that's like where strategy, like company strategy, actually starts to overlay with marketing strategy, because you've intentionally said, we're only going to do kitchens. We're going to get really good at kitchens. So we're actually going to be able to command a premium price because we're better at it. But then you actually are more efficient operationally. And so you actually build in more margin because you're faster, and then you deliver a better experience. And so you get better reviews, you get more referrals, and then that cycles back into marketing. So anyway, I could keep going, but I just want to give a little hint on like company strategy, marketing strategy, and the overlay there.
I love this because just this morning, in my contractors collective group, we do this section where we do masterminding, and the guy who was on the hot seat had like his whole thing was, how do I deal, make sure that I'm not having a battle with people who go, well, I can get it cheaper here, or I can go there, or, I'm not sure if you can really do it, because he's a bit of a generalist and a whole bunch of things. But then also, what was great is the group said to him, listen, you need to know who your customer is and who your customer isn't, and be clear about the lane that you're in, because like you said, when you're a generalist and you're all over the place, you're less efficient in operations, right? Because like your team one day is doing decking, one day doing siding, one day doing kitchens. But if you focus on a particular area, it helps you niche. And it was kind of the exact same feedback that the group gave him, which was decide who your customer is. You're not for everybody. And the more you can start to make that distinction, the more you can stand out from the competition. Do you have a recommendation of how somebody would approach going from like coming up with their internal strategy, so that then they can figure out a marketing strategy, like a strategy for who's their customer? Do you have like recommendations, and then how do they start to transition that into, because I know we're going to talk about long-term and short-term strategy for marketing, but just any final thoughts about to help people be able to take this idea and then move it into an actual plan?
I think it does take a little bit of soul searching, and then just some hard looks at projects that you've done where you typically either one, make the most money so you get better margins, which usually means you either are more efficient there or you command a better price or whatever the reason is. But two, where your team skill sets are, and those are probably correlated most of the time. And then the other piece of it is just who are the types of buyers and clients that we want to serve. And so I think it's a combination of where you make your money, what your team skill set is, maybe where your interest is, and it's some blend of all of those. But I think the easiest way to start is just thinking about where you're currently successful and just trying to get more of those projects and less of the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about short-term, long-term marketing strategies. So what are some short-term marketing? Well, before I jump into short-term, long-term, let's talk just for a second, if you will, speak to long-term strategy versus short-term strategy. Maybe will you just speak a little bit more to that from your perspective, what long-term, short-term marketing strategy, and then let's talk about each one of them. What are some strategies for each of those?
Yeah. It's a good question. Let's back up a half step too, because I feel like a lot of contractors, when we think about getting leads, the best type of lead is like a referral, something that was word of mouth. It was passed off, right? A recommendation. And then you see this evolution where people go from, they've built their business on word of mouth referral, and then they're like, now I'm kind of hitting this wall and I need some marketing. And then they start doing some marketing and they start getting some leads, and they always think the leads are junk, the leads are garbage, right? And the reason is the referral lead comes to you with something built in, trust.
Right.
So the sale is easier, and you get the project. With a marketing generated lead, somebody is probably comparing and they don't know who you are. So you are starting from trust zero. So back to your question, when I think about a long-term marketing strategy should build trust so that by the time the buyer is ready to have a sales conversation, they've got some trust already built and you're not starting from zero. And that's what a long-term strategy can do in terms of warming up a lead. We also just have
distinction, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah, because I kept hearing this over the years, like, oh, internet leads are junk, or these, marketing leads are junk, or and I'm like, well, No, they're not junk. They're just in a different buying behavior. And they don't. And so actually what it is you're not actually that unique, and you don't have a strong sales proposition because they're going to close at a lower ratio. You're losing to price more often. And it's like, well, why is that? And why do the referral leads close at your normal prices? The trust, like, you've already built that trust. And so again, back to the long-term strategy, this is why I'm such a big believer in content marketing, education style marketing, blogging, video content, podcasts. Like, if you're a remodeler and you start educating your audience on kitchen trends and how long it takes and what it costs and what like where you get the biggest bang for your buck and where you can maybe, like, if you're on a budget, you can make these types of decisions. And then somebody like is thinking about their kitchen and they find you in January and they're reading and they're following your stuff and they're like, wow, this is super helpful. And then when they're ready to make a decision, now they're ready to talk. Maybe it's summer. Now they reach out to a couple of companies, but if they've like seen your face, been reading your stuff, getting your emails, you're at trust 10, 20, 30 instead of 0 where the other companies are. And so that's where I think the power of like a long-term content marketing, brand awareness strategy, it is lead gen just over a longer time horizon, and nobody wants to wait that long. I've had people where they've been following me for 3 years and we get on a 30-minute call and they're like, let's roll. Because they know me. I don't know them, but they know me.
So let's talk about what are some short-term marketing strategies, tactics, and then long-term.
Yeah, I think the short-term stuff, it is more challenging because you're basically like, I need to just instantly generate, demand now. And so when I think about that, it's going, okay, I've got 100% of the market for people that are looking for kitchen remodels. 4% of those people are what we call active buyers. They're like in the decision-making process. They want to get a project moving. So it's like, how do we find these 4% right now, get them into my pipeline and like convince them to sign up with me? And so when you think about that, I mean, Google Ads is one of the best ways, I think, because you can go to Google and you can say, I want to show up for these certain keywords. And if I'm saying, I know somebody in Colorado Springs is typing in kitchen remodeler in Colorado Springs, like they're probably looking for a kitchen remodeler to do a kitchen project, right? So there's certain terms that we would call, like, they have high buying intent behind them. There's no guarantee they're going to do a project or anything, but if they're typing that in, like, there's a good chance that they're actually one of those active buyers. So Google Ads, that's going to be probably a higher cost per lead. Like, you're competing against other companies spending on ads, and all that money is just going direct to ads. And then once you get them to the page, like, you got to make sure there's a compelling page, you convert them, you get them into your pipeline. And then again, you have zero trust. So what are you doing in the sales process to, show your value prop, move them through the sale and get them to close?
So Google Ads.
Yeah, so that's the like paid short term, and then I'll give you the free short term. And I would say it's typically one-to-one emails to past clients, architects, referral partners, real estate agents, designers, whoever's in your network. Hey, Mary, it's Spencer. Over the last few years, we've done a great job of, transforming people's homes, and we've gotten great reactions. And like, we're really making an intentional choice to grow this year. Right now, we have X spots available for, large scale remodels. I'm wondering if you know anyone that we should be put in touch with. Send that out to 10, 20, 30 people that are in your network, get some stuff back. And then you can do just continuing like email newsletters to your existing database. But like, I think that one-to-one personal outreach, the email basically says we need work, but we've reframed it as we're trying to serve an audience, which is hopefully what you're trying to do, like transform people's homes in a positive way, which is hopefully what you're trying to do. And so it's a very genuine email, but it's said in such a way that says like, this is how many projects we have available. And I heard this recently and I thought it was really powerful. If I just dumped 200 projects on your lap today, like, could you handle them? Most people would say no. So what is the number? And whatever the number is, go out and tell them that.
Yes, I like that.
I can handle 4 projects right now. I'm looking. So now you're building some exclusivity. Anyway, there's a whole psychology behind that, but just tell the truth. Like, this is what we're looking for, and this is how many projects we have available. but it's positioned much stronger, and you'll get some activity out of it.
Yeah. What I like about listening to you, Spencer, is it's having the contractor, business owner, marketing person think from the perspective of A, being intentional, and B, being purposeful about, like, well, how many can I really handle? And I love that it's tapping into referrals, who are people who already have no like and trust with you. So
I
yeah.
want to add one more note on that. I think it was if we have time, going back to what you started at the beginning of this was something about the roller coaster, right? Like when we're busy, we never want to market. And then when we're slow, we're like, oh my gosh, we need marketing, we need leads.
Yeah.
I find the interesting thing about that is that almost every company I talk to wants to grow. And when you're busy, if you want to grow, that would seemingly be the time to force that growth. Because if you're busy, you're just full. And then really the goal is just that you would stay busy. But if you want to grow, you actually want to be more busy, but you have to figure out where your constraints are. So when you're busy, you should really say, let's step on the gas. And then that's going to force me. Now do I need to hire this person? Do I need to install this new system? Like, how could we do 30% more work? But it's weird because everyone gets busy and then they're like, I'm so busy, I can't handle anything, but yet they want to grow. So I would just encourage people to think about, like, do you really want to grow? And if you do, what are the committed steps that you're taking to do that? And it probably means hiring and pushing into those busy seasons. Anyway, just a general
Oh,
comment.
good. Thank you. I'm glad that you brought that back together. I think that's a really important point. Let's talk about long-term strategies.
Yeah. I think the long-term strategy that I've seen most successful, and I mostly operate in the digital space, is the educational style content marketing. And so that's blog content, that's project spotlight pages where you tell real stories, that's video content, that's podcasting. Like, all of those are content pieces. They're just different mediums. But again, if you think about your ideal clients and what they're searching for, like, there's a lot of educational components to what we do, and the knowledge gap between the homeowner and what you know. And so it's really just sharing your information that you know about, you're an expert in. The homeowner is not the expert, and it's all the questions you get in the sales process. It's all the things that come up when you're delivering the project, and they have more questions, and like, what's going on at this stage, or what's happening now. Or if you just build into your DNA and your philosophy that you're going to be an educator around best practices and how do you get successful projects done, and all of those details that the homeowner cares about, and home maintenance things, after the project, things that they should be thinking about, you do start to build that know, like, and trust. And you also start to rank in Google if you're doing it right. So, like, you start attracting more, and you'll have a lot more people in your world that are not in that 4% active buyers today. But then 3 months later, 9 months later, 3 years later, somebody will pop into the sales funnel and they'll be like, oh, like, I'm so excited. We're finally ready to do our kitchen. I've been following you guys for years. Like, you have the best content. You're always so helpful. I feel like I know your team already. And I'm saying these things because I hear them. Like,
Yeah.
I've experienced this, and that's the long-term, like, brand connection. You're part of the community.
All
Yeah.
right, so that's long-term, short-term. We had taught you said Google Ads, and getting yourself on so that when people do keyword searches, you're coming up on there, and also asking for direct referrals from previous clients, associates, and that your strategy around that is let them know how many spaces you have open. So it's just that being intentional.
Yeah, and maybe even for what types of projects.
Yeah. All right. I love this. Thank you. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a great conversation to have with you. Before we wrap up, is there anything, well, a couple of things, anything else you want to add? And if people want to reach you, where can they reach you? And I think you had a free resource that you can offer people.
Yeah, so you can always find us at builderfunnel.com, and there's tons of stuff there that you can find, content, podcasts, videos, you name it. If you like marketing or want to learn more about marketing and you hate it, but you're like, I know I need to do it, then that's a good spot to start. You asked me a couple of other questions. Oh, if I wanted to add anything else, I would say I would just maybe, aside from all the stuff we talked about today, I would highly encourage you to think about getting in front of the camera and committing to video as a part of that educational strategy, because you'll actually start to build a personal brand that is probably more powerful than the company brand. And if you think about, if you are an owner, you are pretty good at sales, you are good with people, you connect, you can actually build all of that before somebody meets you, and it's really powerful once they do. So just a plug to try to get into video. And then, yeah, we have a free website grader on our site, and I can get you the link if you want to drop that in the notes.
I'll
And
put the link down here.
takes
Yep.
like 10 seconds. You can pop your site in there and get a score.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really wonderful. That's a great way for people to kind of just sort of jumpstart getting a sense of, is my website working for me the way I want it to?
Yeah.
Spencer, thank you. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom and your ideas and thoughts with the audience.
Cool.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you again. Thanks for everybody for being here on the Profit Builder today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.